podcast because the business and what I'm going to talk to you about going forward really grew out of the Black community.
Okay.
My previous business, I did weight management in the African American churches. And my partner was the Dr. Reverend Clyde Oden. Frankly, Clyde just got married to Barbara Lee. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And we brought a unique system into the African American churches, primarily the AME churches. And I worked quite a bit under Bishop Vashti McKenzie in Tennessee and Kentucky. She's now in Texas.
Right.
Worked both in the AME and in the Kojic churches, and it was really an extraordinary experience for me. And it really created my, I guess, as I segue to where I am now, and the company that I own today is called Body Metrics. And I've always cared about people, and that's the most important thing to me is people's health. And what I have is a device, I'm showing it to you because we're seeing that you wear on your finger. And the uniqueness of this device is that it captures metrics that are very, very important for us all to be aware of. I'm a believer, unfortunately, due to COVID, that the eventuality is that all of us will be self-monitoring, okay? Because respiratory diseases are not going to leave us. They're here, they're part of our life, okay? And the key metrics in monitoring COVID or being a post-COVID survivor or a long hauler, if I can call it to you like that. Matter of fact, there's a website called Zoe, Z-O-E, which is based out of the UK and has 4 million people on it, and it's being run by King's College. But the first thing they state there, if you are a post-COVID or long hauler individual, you must self-monitor. And the 3 metrics that they want you to self-monitor are blood oxygen, heart rate, and temperature. The device that I showed you, which is called the Circle Plus, measures all of those metrics. More importantly, it measures them continuously, because if a doctor is going to look at you or try to get to understand you, an episodic measurement is not the way you want to go, or a single measurement. You need to see the measurement over time to really see what is happening to that individual. Interesting thing, again, that we're talking here on this podcast, because something very unique happened on December 17th. And there was an article published in the New England Journal of Medicine. And the article was written by the University of Michigan, some professors at the University of Michigan. And the title of the article, interestingly enough, is Racial Bias and Pulse Oximetry Measurements. And what was found, which frankly was known for a long time, but really buried, as many things are buried or not really addressed, as we were talking about the problem with women in our military, and still that has not been addressed, is that certain devices do not work properly. And oximetry is the study of the amount of oxygen in your blood. But unfortunately, with the devices that many people today have bought, if I may say, not that I'm picking on any of them, on the CVS's or the Walgreens, the Rite Aids, the Walmarts, those inexpensive devices are incorrect, okay? And that's what the University of Michigan published in their paper. And frankly, it's predominantly within the minority community, between the Black and Latino communities, because of pigmentation, because oximetry has a problem with pigmentation. And what they found, just to let you know, which really was startling and still is evolving here in the news, is that African Americans had a much higher rate of incorrect oximetry readings. They found with white people that the numbers were, for 3.6% of the people, were higher. It was close to, I believe, 11% for African American people. What does that mean? That means that, unfortunately, African American people were monitoring themselves with these oximeters that they bought from the retailers that I mentioned and many others, you know, whether also on Amazon or any other websites, and their numbers were incorrect. And they actually were suffering with COVID and didn't know it. And the African American community got highly impacted by that. After that announcement came out from the University of Michigan, just so you know, it appeared in the New York Times a week later. A week later, it appeared in CNN. And actually, 3 senators in the United States wrote a letter to the FDA, Senator Wyden, Booker, and Warren, stating that there's racial discrimination due to poor oximetry. Unfortunately, the FDA did not have a very, very good answer for this. But what I'm here to tell you, and which is very, very important to know, is that our device has been able to mitigate that problem. The reason being is if you're pigmented or of color, your color is on this side of your hand, if I may say it to you that way. On this side of your hand is white or with a pinkish tone. Our senses lie on the inside of the hand, so therefore we don't have the pigmentation problem and our metrics are accurate. Just to give you a little background about our device, for example, at Kaiser here on the West Coast where I'm located, we went through many trials with them, and they have adopted our device, and they are going to be giving our device to all their pulmonary and sleep outpatients. The University of Pennsylvania has worked with our device, Yale University, pretty much all of academia, and the Veterans Administration, by the way, has green-lighted our device. And the intention is to give the Circle Ring, Circle Plus, to rural veterans, primarily ALS and, forgive me, ALS patients and, forgive me, I forgot the other group, and sorry, called age, if I can say it to you that way.
Okay.
But the bottom line is that the Veterans Administration is finally reacting, trying to take care of their rural vets, and are going to use the Circle Ring as a core component to monitoring the vets at home and monitoring their respiratory problems at home. So that's a little bit about what I'm doing and about a little bit how it's impacted the African American community. And frankly, African Americans should be, whether they're buying my device or some other device, oximetry, heart rate, temperature are the key metrics to be watching. And more important than that, just watching the metrics, you have to buy a device that is accurate. Because if you don't buy an accurate device, it's worthless. One last thing I want to say to you, if I may, which is a little bit annoying to me. The New York City put out its recommendations on January 5th, about 2.5 weeks rather, after the problem was released by the University of Michigan. In there, they state that they should give to the minority community pulse oximeters. Well, it's hard to understand that. And they do have a note, by the way, in this document stating that they just found out that there's a problem with pulse oximetry, right? But the reality is that instead of pushing the problem along, fix the problem, right? Give the people the right devices. Make an effort to get the right devices. It was great that New York City developed a plan to help people with COVID and post-COVID, but having a plan is one thing, executing it properly is another.
Very good, very good. Thank you for that, Friedman. Thank you so much. All of this is our segment, but we're moving now. I really do appreciate your contributions, and we want to find out more information about that. And we will during our. Are there any questions so that I can be worried about? Any questions about the device that Mr. Freeman is sharing with us? Any questions?
What outlets are you selling the Circle at?
Okay, we have two modes of business, if I can say it to you. Yes, we do have a retail side to the consumer side. So you can go to Walmart has actually recognized our device for its capabilities. As a matter of fact, Walmart is entering into the urgent care business. I'm sure you've probably seen that all the drugstores eventually are going to be our urgent care centers. That's another discussion as far as the evolution of medicine. But Walmart, you can go to walmart.com and put in Circle Plus. Circle is spelt with a CIRCUL and purchase a device. Also, the device is FSA approved, by the way. right? So it's, so you can buy it on your FSA account. Of
Very
course,
good.
just, sorry.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Freeman.